Your name, your address, and your phone number are floating around the internet. Easy for strangers, scammers, and companies you've never heard of to find. Data brokers and shady databases collect and sell your private details to anyone willing to pay, putting you at risk of nonstop spam, scams, and fraud. You can't stop them from collecting data, but you can control who gets to keep it. That's why I use Incogni. They remove your private information from more than 420 of these sites automatically. And with their unlimited plan, you get total coverage. If you spot your personal details anywhere else online, just send them the link, and their privacy experts will get it taken down. It's the easiest, most complete way to protect yourself and personal life. Right now, you can lock in 60% off with my exclusive deal at privacykim.com. Go to privacykim.com right now and start protecting your privacy. This is so important. Privacykim.com. That's privacykim.com.
Welcome to the Kim Komando Show podcast for the weekend of June 17th, 2023. Thanks for being a Komando community member, and let's get started. Here's hour one.
I always like to start with something interesting. And so what's the worst thing that you've ever done in a Zoom meeting? Okay, maybe just not pay attention? Well, listen to this. New research from the folks over at Jugo, which is a virtual meeting platform. They say that some folks are getting jiggy with it. That's right. Here's a number for you, 13%. That's the percentage of people who say that they've had sex while in a virtual meeting. Okay. I hope they were on mute. Other bad Zoom meeting behavior, picking your nose, 25%, taking a nap, 22%, working out, 23%. Okay, we all sit there and wonder why bosses are wanting to take away work-at-home privileges. That's just an example. And on that happy note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this. It's America's largest show, the most trusted show about all things digital. I'm, of course, Kim Komando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again. And if you're a brand new listener to the show, hey, what took you so long? But we're so glad that you're here. And if you're already a listener, welcome back. And you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations throughout the United States. And we're also streaming commercial-free as a podcast, as a webcast over at Komando.com. In the upper right-hand corner of the homepage, just hit that big old yellow button that says Komando Community. And yes, I said commercial-free. And a big hello and salute goes out to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, reaching over 375,000 U.S. service members serving in 175 countries and 200 ships at sea. Get the Kim Komando Show. I just love that. And I'm sure you have at least 1 or 2 or 12 questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line at 1-888-825-5254 is wide open for you right now to just give us a call. And if you need immediate tech support, I'm talking about somebody actually holds your hand through your technical issues. That's when you want to reach out to my team of experts over at GetKimsHelp.com. Once again, that's GetKimsHelp.com. And I'd like to thank SimpliSafe for helping to make this show possible. SimpliSafe's advanced new smoke and CO detector knows the difference between someone burning dinner, that was me the other night, nightmare, and an actual house fire. Right now, you can save 20% on a new system with interactive monitoring at SimpliSafeKim.com. Once again, that address is SimpliSafeKim.com. Every single day, I head out to about 30 different websites to make sure that we're both up to date on all things digital. And let's start with 5 things that you need to know about tech that are happening right now. And let's start with your data. It's for sale, right? You know this. I mean, if you ever used a computer, your phone, tablet app, your info is for sale by these data brokers online for just about anyone to buy. So what's up for grabs? Pretty much everything. Your name, your address, your phone number, your IP address, financial details, what you like, what you don't like, things that you've looked up on Google. Now, what if I told you that the U.S. government was buying up all this data? Would you be worried? The answer is yes. Some bad news. A U.S. spy agency report says that the United States government is buying information from commercial data brokers, and on a huge scale. It turns out that intelligence agencies like, of course, the FBI, the NSA, CIA, they've been busy collecting huge amounts of what they like to call CAI for short. The CIA is buying CAI. CAI is commercially available information. So what amount of data do they have on you and what it's being used for? No one really knows, but the CIA includes things like your car, your phone, your TV, your web browser, anything that you are doing on any device. So what can you do about it? Probably nothing. You can get off the grid and you can get off the internet. You can use no devices. Yeah, pretty fun times we're living in here. Next on our list is number 2. how to get out of Facebook jail. A guy in Georgia by the name of Jason Crawford, he wakes up one morning, he taps on his Facebook app, and wow, he's been locked out. He just has a notification that he has violated child exploitation rules. He's like, I've never done anything like this. So he reaches out to Facebook, and of course, he found it impossible to talk to any human being. And so the only way to make a written appeal to Facebook is through your own profile, which, of course, he has no longer access to. So all of his photos, his memories, his connections, everything all stored on Facebook is all gone, and obviously he wants back in. But Jason just happens to be a lawyer. So he says, okay, Facebook doesn't want to talk, so let's take this to court. So he sues Facebook, and he says that they're negligent. They locked him out of his account even though he didn't do anything, and they gave him no way to appeal it. So Facebook did not respond to the lawsuit, which was filed back in August of 2022. So by default, Jason won the case. And the judge ordered Facebook to pony up $50,000. Now, of course, Facebook, they finally got Jason's message, and they hit him up, and they say your account was hacked, and poof, his account's back. And now Facebook's saying, we're not going to pay you $50,000. We'll see if that happens. All right, number 3 on our list. This is actually really frightening. The suicide hotline saves a ton of lives. It's anonymous for anyone seeking help in an obvious time of crisis. Now, if you call the number directly on your phone, your information remains confidential and safe. Oh, man, talk about data. Now, if you're seeking help online during a crisis, there's something you need to know. Websites across the country promising anonymity for visitors seeking help. Turns out that they've been quietly sending sensitive visitor data to none other than Facebook. This comes from an investigation conducted by The Markup. They ran tests on 186 different websites, all linked to the National 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. They found more than 30 crisis center websites sending this data to Facebook. And how did this happen? There's a tool called the Metapixel. When you're on these sites and you click to dial the crisis hotline, that click gets tracked and sent to Facebook. So every time someone was trying to call for help, Facebook was also getting a ping too. Isn't that just horrible? Number 4 on our list, this is pretty high level, so I need you to put on your thinking cap, okay? Researchers have found a tricky new way to uncover cryptographic keys from up to 60 feet away using LED lights. Okay, you're like, okay, what was that? Okay. Here's what the cybersecurity researchers at Ben-Gurion University found. When a device is using a secret code, it actually gives off signals. Now, this is very complex. But what they found is that there's a way that hackers can listen into these signals and figure out what the code is just by looking at the device's power lights. Okay. So the researchers used a security cam to take a video of a tiny light on a card reader, the on and off light. Now, from this video, they were able to figure out the secret code used to secure the card's info when an encrypted key was transferred. Okay. So you're sitting there saying, oh my gosh, Kim Camino, I have no idea what you just said. Okay. Bottom line is that all these devices that we think are really super secure, they're not, because a hacker can always find a way to hack. And lastly, this coming in at number 5, what is love and who am I? What do dreams mean? Is a hot dog a sandwich? Okay. These are questions that have no real answers. These are the questions that have left great philosophers for centuries perplexed, especially the one about, is a hot dog a sandwich? Now, these are the questions that a lot of people are asking Google, according to a new study from Digital Third Coast. Turns out that most of us ask Google a question 10 times a day, and 31% we go on there and we ask an existential question about life. So the top questions that we plop into there that are existential: why is the sky blue? What is the meaning of life? What do dreams really mean? Why am I so tired? Imagine asking Google, who am I? What came first, the chicken or the egg? What should I do? Do animals have souls? Okay, why are we asking Google these questions anyway? Now, a little bit more to the study. The top reasons they say, we get unbiased answers. We can't ask these questions to a human. We want companionship. Another troubling stat is 21% of people polled trust Google's advice over their family members and friends. Oh, isn't that terrible? Well, this just reminds me of a question. It's been around for a long time. Maybe you've heard about it. What is the burning question on the mind of every dyslexic, existentialist. What is that burning question? You ready for it? Is there a dog? Okay. All right. If you're dyslexic, don't be sending me any notes. It was just a joke. I was not making fun of you. Some of my best friends are dyslexic. Just letting you know. All right. Coming up in our privacy tip, how you need to get photos of your house off of these real estate websites. We have some signs that your phone is tapped. We have some true story movies that you might want to stream that you don't want to miss. And of course, we have all of your great phone calls. And you have me, Kim Komando. Hey, if you're just too dang shy to call our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line at 1-888-825-5254, you can always drop me your questions over on the website. That's komando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. And just one more thing before we get started with all of our great phone calls is that if you haven't already checked out our new newsletters, do so right now while you're thinking about it. Sign up over at getkim.com. That's getkim.com. In less than 5 minutes a day, you'll be up to date on everything that's happening in the consumer tech world. That's getkim.com. Okay, it's a big question. Are we alone? Now, I'm sure you've asked yourself that once or twice. And there are actually people in the world who study this, and they go out and they try to figure it all out. It's called SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence Institute. It's been around for a while. It's actually been in operation since 1985. Carl Sagan was on its board of trustees at one point, and it has over 100 scientists and researchers all trying to track down intelligent life in this big universe. And today, I'm so thrilled, we're going to actually speak to one of those scientists. Dr. Seth Shostak has been fascinated with extraterrestrial life, he says, since he was about 10 years old. He's now a senior astronomer for the SETI Institute, the recipient of the Carl Sagan Award for the Popularization of Science. I was just in the Radio Hall of Fame, but this sounds so much better to be the recipient of the Carl Sagan Award. Speaking of radio, he's also the host of SETI's radio show and podcast, Big Picture Science, and he's the author of a book, Confessions of an Alien Hunter. So, you know, he's the best person around to tell us if we're alone or not. So, Dr. Shostak, let me just ask you that. Are we alone?
Well, Kim, I may be the best person to tell you, but I can't tell you because we don't know. We have not found any evidence that we have some cosmic company, but personally, it would be an enormous surprise if it turned out that Earth was the only place in the universe inhabited by thinking beings. I think we have a lot of company, but we haven't yet found it.
You know, we all have these visions of what an extraterrestrial would look like. What do you think?
Well, I think that most of the ideas we have about how the aliens might appear is based on how we figure, Homo sapiens might look like 1 million years from now, right? What will evolution eventually produce? And, for the movies, it's usually some creature that looks vaguely like your uncle, but has a much bigger head with a much bigger brain. That's Hollywood. But in fact, we're inventing our successors on this planet right now. We're inventing more and more capable artificial intelligence. So I figure that the aliens, any that we pick up, who are going to be more advanced than we are, they'll look like a machine.
Is that right? That's interesting to me because we're all obsessed now with artificial intelligence, right? And what it's going to do to our society and if we're going to end up not on the planet anymore. But I'd like to ask you about any signals or observations that SETI has detected to date.
Well, we pick up signals all the time. If you turn on our equipment, which consists of an array of antennas, they're reasonably large. They're about 6 meters in diameter. So they're about 20 feet in diameter. If you had one of these things in your backyard, the neighbors would probably complain. They're not huge, but they are reasonably large. But we have a lot of them. We have 42 of them, and we use them to try and pick up signals that aliens might be broadcasting into space. So that's what we do. But unfortunately, we haven't heard anybody so far. We pick up the signals of Earthlings. You turn this thing on, and within 10 minutes, you've probably logged 100 different signals. But they're all, once they're checked out, they're all due to our activities, not to alien activities.
I remember reading a story where the United States government actually launched into space. It was a picture of a male and a female. I think it was done, several years ago. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, that was in the 1970s, I believe, when the Pioneer spacecraft went to the outer solar system. It was the first time we'd sent any hardware that far away. And somebody said, who knows? This thing is going to go out and look at the planets of the outer solar system, but it's just going to keep going. It's not going to land anywhere. It just keeps going, right? And so it's conceivable that in the future, some aliens may pick up this thing. They may find it and, bring it down to their planet or whatever, put it in a museum, whatever they're going to do with it. We ought to put a builder's plate on it. So they did. It's something about the size of a license plate. It's a little more elegantly engraved, but it shows a picture of a man and a woman, both of whom are nude. This caused a lot of problems for NASA, by the way, sending pornography into space. But it has a man and a woman, and then it has a bunch of other numbers and figures that tell the aliens that pick this up, assuming any do, something about, how many people are here on Earth and what we're like and what our biochemistry is and stuff like that. So it's kind of a greeting card sent into space.
What does your gut tell you and all the research that you've done? I mean, what do we really have out there?
Well, look, what my gut tells me is usually not important unless, it means it's dinner time. Then I appreciate the message. But in fact, I think that they're out there. But of course, if they're not out there, then there's no point in doing the kind of work that we do here. But that would be really remarkable, because if Earth is the only planet where there's intelligent life, there's something wrong. And what's wrong is that we know now, something we didn't know when all this started, that there are literally trillions. There are a trillion planets. That's with a T. Trillion planets just in our galaxy. And we can photograph 200 billion other galaxies, each with a trillion planets. Now, those numbers are getting to be kind of large when you multiply the two together. But that's the number of, if you will, planets in the visible universe. And out of every set of planets, maybe 1 in 3 sets has a planet more or less the same size as the Earth and the same average temperature as the Earth. So those planets could have oceans and may have cooked up life. Now, maybe most of them don't. We don't know. But it's hard to believe that none of them do. And the consequence is simply because of this enormous amount of real estate in the cosmos. We've kind of figured that there must be company out there.
All right, Dr. Shostak, this is just great. And I know that so many of us are just fascinated by the idea of aliens coming to check out what we're doing here on Earth. How we're all sitting here on TikTok and Facebook. I mean, they'd probably be like, oh my gosh, what's going on there? I looked up some stats. About 20% of Americans think that UFOs were probably an alien ship or alien life form. That was back in 1996. In 2022, that number jumped to 34%. But 70% of all Americans actually think that aliens exist. I'm raising my hand because I am one of them. Now, what are they like? And if they are out there, how do we really know? Well, according to a poll, most U.S. adults think that it's pretty unlikely that they're going to be like these green monsters of sci-fi stories. Most of us believe that they're more technologically advanced than humans. Now, here's the deal. We have to take a quick break to pay some bills around here. I mean, our internet bills and our payroll and our taxes and all that other good stuff, so we have to play a few commercials. But when we come back, Doctor, I really want to delve deeper into this with you. I want to know, what are your thoughts on why we haven't heard from these ETs, these aliens yet? I mean, why aren't they just coming down and saying, hey, this is us and this is what we've got going on? So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stay with us because you don't want to miss this. This is a great topic. I know that you're going to want to learn more about it. And, of course, we have more of your phone calls as well coming up here on the Kim Komando Show. Now, if you're just joining us, let me tell you, you've actually missed out on a great conversation. We've been talking to the great Dr. Seth Shostak. Now, Dr. Shostak, he is world-renowned. He's the senior astronomer for the SETI Institute. He's a recipient of the Carl Sagan Award for the popularization of science. He's the host of SETI's radio show and podcast, Big Picture Science. And he's also the author of a book, Confessions of an Alien Hunter. Why do you think we have never heard from any other planet?
Well, there are a couple of possibilities. I mean, one is that they just don't want to get in touch. That's saying something about their thought processes for which we have no evidence. So I don't know about that. I think the real reason is that we haven't been around long enough. We haven't been able to hear from them only recently, really. The first SETI experiment, which was conducted by this young astronomer, Frank Drake, in West Virginia, was in 1960. That isn't so long ago. That's 60-some years ago. But that was the first attempt to try and eavesdrop on the aliens. So we've only been listening for a relatively short period of time. The fact that we haven't heard them so far doesn't, to my mind, mean much of anything. I mean, you can go into your backyard and look around for, I don't know, gorillas, but the chances are you're not going to see them. Not because they don't exist, but because you're looking in the wrong place and only for a short period of time. You know, given a 50 million years, maybe the gorillas would make it to your backyard. But the point is that this is a very incomplete search so far.
So you mentioned these antennas that are searching for signals. How will they know when they find one?
Well, that's a really legitimate question, because we do pick up signals all the time. And what we use as a discriminant, how we sort of distinguish the wrong signals from the right signal, is that the wrong signals will, stay fixed. No matter where you point your antenna, you'll pick up those signals, right? Because they're very strong. They're due to radar or, other activities of Homo sapiens. But if you find a signal coming from what seems to be a patch on the sky, well, how do you verify it? You move the antenna a little bit and the signal should go away because you're not pointed at it anymore. And then you move it back to where you were pointed and see if the signal comes back. That generally will, throw out all the signals that are made by humans, because the human signals are so much stronger. They're from transmitters right here on Earth. So I don't think that that's a big problem. But in the end, if you really thought you had picked up ET on the line there, what you would do is call up some people at another observatory, maybe, in Europe or South America or wherever, and tell them the coordinates of where you're looking on the sky and say, look, you guys look, check it out and see if you pick up the signal. I don't think you would believe it if you, couldn't do that and verify that the signal was not just a bug in your software or something rather prosaic.
That's true. You mentioned the government, and of course, all eyes are pointing to Area 51. Have you been there?
I've been near to Area 51. In fact, last week I was in Palm Springs, which isn't terribly far from Area 51, but it has, better food.
Of course it does. What do you think of Area 51? What do you think of all the conspiracy theories and rumors that surround that area?
Well, America loves conspiracy theories. They just love to think that the government has important information that it's keeping from you. If the aliens were transmitting something to us, or more dramatically, if they were visiting Earth, you can be sure that it wouldn't just be the U.S. government that knew about that, right? The governments around the world would know about it. We have 850 satellites, observing the Earth, and they're able to read the headline on a newspaper even from 200 miles up. And they're not all American satellites, and they're not all government satellites, right? I mean, the evidence would be very obvious. It would be like asking, the Native Americans of New England in 1500, do you think Europeans are visiting you? Well, they could say yes with some confidence. They said, just walk down the road here and you'll find some of them, right? So I don't think we could cover that up. It's a nice idea and it makes for good, television, but it's not true.
And even today, it would be all over social media. Okay, it would just be. One last question, Doctor. What are the implications? What do you think for humanity if we do eventually find evidence of alien life?
Well, you might be put in touch with a society that's very much more advanced than ours is. So they might have interesting things to tell you, like, this is the real history of the cosmos, or here's the cure for death, or something useful. That's an optimistic scenario. That might happen, but, I wouldn't count on it. But I think you can count on the minimum that we would learn from such a detection of an alien signal, and that is that we're not the only kids around, right? That the universe is filled with life, not just life, but intelligent life has sprung up occasionally too. And I think just knowing that would be a very interesting thing for our descendants to know.
Well, you're just fabulous, Doctor. You are. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Kim. It's a real pleasure.
All right. This sounds like a joke, but it's not. I don't know if you heard about this recently. We actually wrote about it in one of our newsletters. About an hour after Las Vegas police witnessed an unidentified object falling from the sky, a Las Vegas man reportedly saw what he said, a 10-foot-tall extraterrestrial in his backyard with big shiny eyes. So the police came over and they said, oh, totally unfounded. But in case you want to see the video from the police, is that we have it posted over at Komando.com in the video section. And you might be saying, I know why aliens don't visit Earth, Kim Komando. I do know why. And the reason is because we only have a 1-star rating. All right. Hey, in case you're looking for something to stream this weekend, I'm going to tell you, I'm just a sucker for true stories. And here are a few that I've seen lately. One is called The Greatest Beer Run Ever. It's a true story. It took place in 1967 when John Chickie Donahue, he leaves New York City. It's a great story. He tracks down his Army buddies in Vietnam to share a few beers with them. And it stars Zac Efron and Russell Crowe. Once again, it's called The Greatest Beer Run Ever. The Fabelmans recount Steven Spielberg's childhood. Of course, he has a passion for making movies. Next on my list is Elvis. It's been out for a while. It's an amazing movie. Baz Luhrmann explores Elvis's rise to superstardom, and also Colonel Tom Parker, who, let me tell you, you're just going to hate the guy by the end of the movie. Blonde looks at the rise and demise of actress Marilyn Monroe, of course. Because I Love Cars, coming in at number 5 in our list, is Lamborghini. It's a great story, but a spoiler, Enzo Ferrari told him that he's never, ever going to succeed. And there's also one more I'm going to add to the list because I recently saw this one too, and it is a true story. It's called BlackBerry. Yes, you remember the BlackBerry? This one talks about the rise and fall of the BlackBerry, and it's really interesting to me what happens behind the scenes because, of course, we were all there when Steve Jobs comes out with the iPhone and BlackBerry's like, but everybody's still going to want the keyboard. They're going to want those chiclets. They're going to want to have that tactile response. And then BlackBerry's like, maybe not. So we should come out with a BlackBerry that just has a keyboard screen, which they did, and we know that did not work. But anyway, these are some ideas for some movies if you're looking for something fun to stream this weekend. And let's go ahead and do our privacy tip right now. And this week is brought to us by Total AV. All right, if you're not trying to sell your home, there's no reason to leave all these interior photos and other details on various real estate websites like Realtor, Redfin, and Zillow. There's a lot of privacy issues with that, and it makes your home a target for cyber criminals. Now, of course, when you're listing your home, sellers want you to have everything in there, floor plans, furnishings, appliances. But I don't know if anybody really needs to know about that expensive Persian rug or see every entry point in every room or to see where all the security pads are for your alarm system. So you might assume that your real estate agent or seller would remove the home's info. Not so much. So what you want to do is make sure that you take the extra steps. Now, if your home is in the MLS, only the broker can remove that listing from the MLS. So just make sure you reach out to your sales agent, your realtor, broker, whoever it is, who subscribes to the MLS and make sure that they take that out. Next, what I want you to do is to remove your home from Zillow. Now, the steps on how to do this, not so complicated, but we do have them all written out for you to make things super easy. But not just at Zillow, because you're going to go claim your home. And then at Realtor.com, you're going to go to Realtor.com/myhome. And then at Redfin, they have their own way to do that. But we have all the steps that you need to claim your home because that's the first step in removing information and photos. And then at the sites, like I said, Realtor, Zillow, and Redfin. Just one more thing about these sites is that if you have an empty plot of land, a lot of scammers are going after that so that they are buying and selling land that they don't even own. So what you want to do is make sure that you claim any type of vacant lot, any type of vacant land that you have. So if there's ever a status change in this, that you're automatically notified. You can find links to all of these over at Komando.com. And when you're there, just hit the link that says Show Pics. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls, as well as some signs that your phone may be tapped here on the Kim Komando Show. Now, if you're not already following us on social media, what the heck are you waiting for? And if you are ghosting us on social media, just stop it already, because when you're ghosting, you don't get automatic notifications. So whether you're on, say, Twitter or Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, or even on YouTube, we're everywhere at Kim Komando. Once again, that's at Kim Komando. And in case you're curious, actually, I think the photos are actually pretty. Is that, as you know, I had a cornea transplant, 3 weeks ago now. And I've been posting pictures of my progress, and you can see all the stitches, and it's just a beautiful job over at Instagram.com/Kim Komando. Once again, that's Instagram.com/Kim Komando. And back to the phones we go with Heath.
Hello, Miss Kim. So good to hear you, and always good to listen to your show. I own a small business. I'm the owner, and I'm trying to get more individualized advertisement in my company. And I was wanting your opinion on how I could do text message advertising.
Ooh, that's a tough one. What kind of business do you have?
I am a auctioneer real estate agent.
Here's the reason why. I'm not a big proponent of text message advertising because we all look at our cell phones as if it's part of us, and a lot of it's an annoyance. And especially now because we have so many text frauds that are going in, that I would rather that we talk about other marketing methods that I do know to be more effective, because I just don't want you to waste your money.
Yeah.
Are you trying to get business for obviously real estate that you have listed and auctions that you're having? Is that it?
Well, and let me get more detailed in what I'm saying, man. When I host an auction, I have a client list that's already pre-registered for the online auction.
Oh, okay.
And so my problem is 30-40% of them forget the day of the auction. So I'm trying to if I can get in their phone or in their head the last hour, just to gear it in, they'll remember.
Okay, I understand. Okay.
And so I'm trying to...
Yeah, I see.
Okay.
Are you using auction management software?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Does that...
Not that particular company, but yes.
Okay, because some of these programs like AuctionFlex or BidPath or ProxyBid is that they have text messaging functionality, so that this way you could send out bid reminders, auction alerts, notifications to your registered bidders. So I'm just wondering if maybe the program that you have already has these capabilities, so you don't have to come up with another list of names and phone numbers and then try to manage that as well. Because that can be a bit of a nightmare, because if somebody changes a phone number, or if they block you, or they say it's junk or whatever it may be, is that going through this one by one would be, like I said, it's very, very time consuming. And so that's where you want to use programs like I mentioned. If you want to check it out, it's like AuctionFlex, BidPath, or ProxyBid. Now, if you say, well, you know what, I really only have a dozen people that are going to go to the auction or participate in the auction that actually have bank money to spend, right? So if that's the case, then there's a company called Twilio. That's Twilio. They've been around for a long time. They don't charge very much. I think it's like 0.0079 cents per text or something like that. And they're probably the biggest company out there. And another one's called Easy Texting. And all this said with texting, do you have are you doing any type of email marketing?
Yes, ma'am. I've incorporated that a little bit, and I am with AuctionFlex that does incorporate email reminders. It's just it's slow compared to what the phone can do for me, in my opinion.
Oh, okay. All right. I totally get that, because you're dealing in real time money. A good friend of mine runs Barrett Jackson Car Auctions, which is just huge, right? And Craig took me all around the auction a couple of years ago to show me all the technology that he's got going on between taking online bidders and phones, and it's just like, and it's just, that is just an art process, the whole thing from start to finish, how that whole process works. So that said, look at Twilio, or you mentioned that you're already using AuctionFlex. They do have text messaging features for sending these notifications, the big confirmations, and the important updates. So if you can't get that to work, or it's just not fast enough, take a look at that Twilio, because I think that's probably going to be the next best solution for you. And thank you for your call. Now, one thing you need to know about sending text messages to customers is something called the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, the TCPA. What this means is that marketers, meaning you have to receive express written consent before sending promotional messages to your customers. So how do you get that consent? Well, you can do it a few ways. You can ask your customers to opt in by texting a keyword to a short code. They could fill out a form online. But I will tell you that most people are so protective, including myself, of text messages in our phone. It's so intrusive when somebody just pops in with a text to say that they have this new thing or that coming on, or even a coupon. So I don't know. I'm not a big proponent of text messaging spam advertising. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, have you ever wondered if your phone is tapped, that someone's actually listening to your calls? They're seeing all your text messages, your photos, and they know everywhere you go. Well, let's start with your phone's battery. If it's draining faster than usual, it's hot to the touch, say yes, and your phone could be tapped. Next up, your data usage just skyrockets, but you didn't download a whole bunch of new apps and you're not watching videos. Maybe you start seeing strange things. It's like pop-up ads. An app appears that you didn't download. You get a weird text message that's full of numbers or letters. Yeah, there's your sign. Next, your phone starts lagging, taking slower to open apps, videos, get your email. You reboot it, but it's still slow. And finally, websites look different on your phone. Logos are pixelated, they're stretched. Something strange should be and could be going on. Now, if your phone is tapped, what do? You back up all your important data, and then you have to do a complete factory reset. I know it's not fun, but that's what you need to do. Hey, be sure to tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show and our Kim Komando Today podcast, because knowledge is power, and you can find me at KimKomando.com. If you own a home, listen up. This is scary. The FBI is warning about a crime on the rise, home title theft. And it doesn't happen the way you might think. No break-ins, no stolen keys, just a forged signature on a single piece of paper filed with the county. In minutes, criminals can transfer the title out of your name, then use your ownership to drain your equity or even sell your home. The worst part, most people don't know what's happening until they get collection or foreclosure notices in the mail. That's why I trust Home Title Lock. When you visit HometitleLock.com/Kim, you'll get a free title history report and a 14-day free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection, including 24/7 monitoring of your home's title, urgent alerts to changes, and if fraud does happen. Their U.S.-based restoration team will work to restore your title, covering costs up to $1 million. Don't wait. Protect your home and equity today. Get your free 14-day trial at HometitleLock.com/Kim. That's HometitleLock.com/Kim.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Kim Komando Show podcast. This is for the weekend of June 17th, 2023, and we're up to hour 2.
I always like to kick off with something fun. Now, the Beatles are making one last final record. Yes, Paul, John, George, and Ringo. Now, before you sit back and say, oh, Kim Komando, John and George are dead, I have to tell you, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, Paul's not dead. And that's really all you need. It turns out Paul McCartney is bringing the Beatles back to life with AI from what he calls the very last Beatles song. He's used artificial intelligence algorithms to separate John's voice from a background piano in a really old demo. He remastered it with producers, and it's going to be released later this year. And if you think about it, he gets by with a little help of AI. Ooh, yeah, that was a good one. And on that happy note, welcome, ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls. I'm Kim Komando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you, and you've tapped into the nation's largest show about all things digital, your most trusted source. And you're about to get more tech smart because every single thing is now a tech thing, and you can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations throughout the United States. And we're streaming as a podcast, as a webcast, commercial-free. Over at Komando.com, in the upper right-hand corner, there's a big old yellow button that says Komando Community. And yes, I did say commercial-free. And a special shout-out goes to all of our listeners on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force in 175 different countries. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you need tech support right now, this very minute, you need somebody who you can trust to just come on your computer and fix it, or your Wi-Fi, or your printer, whatever it is, I want you to reach out to my team of tech experts at GetKimsHelp.com. Once again, that's GetKimsHelp.com. Every single day, I visit over 30 different websites to make sure that you and I are both up to date on all things digital. And here are 5 things that you need to know that's happening right now. And we're going to start with the Canadian wildfires. I mean, of course, they're causing a huge plunge in air quality across the United States. 12 million acres burned. And if you're on the East Coast, you know it's there. And if you try to take a picture of it with your smartphone, you may have noticed that something strange is going on. What is happening? Your phone just isn't capturing the dusty haze all around you. It looks normal, but there's a reason. You see, the algorithms are filtering it out. Your phone automatically wants to color correct and white balance and adjust contrast to all your pictures. And this is fine, but it doesn't work for wildfires or in cloudy situations. Now, according to Vice, most phone brands use sensors from Sony that are trained on something called, I know this is techie, a quad Bayer filter. Yes, it's a type of architecture. These sensors work hand in hand with different algorithms from various phone brands, but they all go through AI training on millions of images. So they're taught to detect scenes and subjects and scenarios, and they pick out exposure settings that gives you the perfect shot. So that's why when you're taking this photo that you're like, I don't see the orange haze from wildfires. So you may need to turn off all those filters. Next on our list on number 2, your phone might be terrible at recognizing wildfires, but it's really good about recognizing your booty. Yes, the Google Photos app is now able to recognize faces even when people have their backs to the camera. Apparently, it can identify and label most people correctly when facing away. Yeah. How does it work? Google's upped its machine learning models to recognize people based on the things that they wear, their gait, how they stand, their mannerisms, and other visual clues. And that's not the only Google update that has to do with your booty. If you have trouble finding jeans that fit online, it's a bummer. Well, now Google has a way to solve that problem. It has created a new generative AI tool that lets you try on clothes from hundreds of brands. So if you see a pair of pants that you like on Google Shopping, there may be a try-on button at the bottom of the screen. So you click that and you're navigated to a bar on the side with different models showing different body types and skin tones, and then you just have to pick the one that closely resembles the way that you look, and then bam, you can see how it might look on your body. That's that old line, like, how these jeans look. Do they make you look fat? No, they make you look fabulous. But along the same lines, what did the avocado say to itself in the mirror? What did the avocado say to itself in the mirror? Anyone? You're fat, but you're a good fat. Yes. All right, number 3. Oh, I hated this happening to me. I had a catalytic converter stolen out of my truck this past year, and it's just a pain. And there's been a massive surge in catalytic converter thefts, and the reason why it's an easy target. A converter can fetch upwards of $300, $500, $800 on the black market. It's just dangling there on your car. Now, Carfax says more than 153,000 have been stolen in the last year alone. So what can you do to counter thieves? And again, we're talking about this on a tech show. Well, I thought this was so innovative, I just want to tell you about it. The Los Angeles Police Department has come up with an answer. Etch your car's VIN number right into the catalytic converter. They have a new device called the InstaEtch. It's a Bluetooth-enabled device that engraves all the numbers with a high-temp spray paint. And the LAPD is holding monthly events where you get your catalytic converter etched for free. And another thing that they're doing is they're slapping a marked by the LAPD stamp right on the converter. So if that doesn't tell you to back off, nothing will. I think this is just fabulous. So every police department should be doing something like this. And in your local communities, reach out to your police department and say, hey, the LAPD is doing this. How about we do it too? Next on our list at number 4, what's the one thing that you can't do at a poker table in Vegas? Well, aside from maybe win. You can't pull out your phone or take photos for obvious reasons. But as more and more phone and social media Gen Zers are turning 21, MGM casinos are relaxing this just a bit. So the casino now has a brand new policy that allows guests to go ahead and take selfies, vids, and even live streams. But here's the deal. MGM says that the photos and videos must be for personal use only. Now, for live streams and longer videos, you still have to have their approval. But you can actually take photos at the poker table if the dealer's cool with it. But you can't live stream in the poker room. And at MGM, guests can actually text while playing games and chat on the phone just a little bit. I read this and I was at MGM. I took Ian to teach him how to gamble for the first time. And I gave him $100 and we were playing blackjack. It was so fun to play blackjack with him. And the kid actually walked away with $600. I was like, yes. But anyway, when I was at the MGM, I like to joke around. And there was a security guard standing there by all the slot machines. And so I looked at him and I said, hey, I'm not going to tell anybody, but which machine here pays off the most? Just point to it. You can even just point with your nose and I'll figure out which one it is. And he looked at me and he said, no, I'll use my finger. And he pointed over at the ATM machine. I thought that was so good. Finally, this coming in at number 5, when a man from Louisiana goes to Florida, does he become a Florida man? Jacob Percival is a 20-year-old guy from Louisville. No, Louisiana. One day he had an epiphany. He wanted to be the next Steve Irwin. Now, the thing is that Jacob didn't go after a crocodile, but he decided to jump into an alligator pit and record a video of it and put it on TikTok. So you might be wondering, what is going on here? He was at the Busch Gardens theme park in Florida. So bystanders watched as he just dove in, mimicking Steve Irwin's accent as security yelled at him to get out. Ooh, crikey. Then he posted this whole video to TikTok. Now, of course, he thought that he would be a social media superstar after all this. But the police jumped in, yes. An arrest warrant was issued. Now, Jacob is facing just a slew of charges: burglary, trespassing, and theft of services. I started thinking about this. I was going to cook an alligator for dinner, but then I realized I only had a crock pot. Yes. Oh, that was the best one. I cracked myself up. All right, coming up, we have 10 tech freebies that you want to grab right now. Oh, we have the secrets to looking great in selfies, and then we have our question of the week. Yeah, it's kind of a different question that we ask you, the home listener, and our special guest contestant. And, of course, we have all of your fantastic phone calls, and you have me, Kim Komando. Hey, our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254. Once again, is the way to join us. And just a quick reminder, if you're just too shy to come on a show, I get that. I do. I understand. You can just drop me your question over at the website, komando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. We have a pair of special guests joining us today right now. Grandma Joy Ryan, she's 93 years old, and she just wrapped up an incredible journey. Get this. She's visited all 63 U.S. national parks in just the last couple of years. That's right, all 63. Now, she didn't do it alone. She had a sidekick, her very own grandson, Brad Ryan. Now, Grandma Joy isn't just a seasoned traveler. She's actually now a record breaker. She's the oldest person to have ever visited all of our national parks. Isn't that incredible? Now, here's the thing. Grandma Joy and her grandson, Brad, they're not done yet. They're not even close. In just a few weeks, they're going to be heading off to Kenya. And to tell us all about their incredible adventures and future plans is Grandma Joy Ryan and, of course, her grandson, Brad Ryan. Hi there, guys. How did this adventure even start?
Well, it started in 2015 when I was in my fourth year of veterinary school, and I had a very limited window during my clinical year to get away. But when an opportunity presented itself, I remembered a conversation I had with her about 5 years prior when she told me kind of casually that she regretted that she never got to see a mountain in her life. And so it was a heartbreaking revelation in my opinion, because she had so much life left to live. Anybody that has seen her on Instagram at Grandma Joy's Road Trip or has seen her on TV knows that this is not your typical 93-year-old woman. And so I offered to take her on a weekend road trip thinking that it would be a one and done experience, but she climbed mountains with me on that trip, and it really inspired me to keep the adventure going. And so that's really how it began.
Where did you go on that first trip?
We went to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which was about 7 hours from our hometown.
And then how'd you come up with the idea to do all 63 national parks from there? Wow.
It felt so good doing that with her that I couldn't stop obsessing over the images in my brain of her seeing Old Faithful blow up and walking through the redwood trees of California or seeing the sunset over the Grand Canyon. So it was really a matter of just stepping into the power of manifestation, and I knew that she would be game for it.
So have you guys always been close?
Oh, yeah. It never came to blows or anything while we was in the car. We got along pretty good.
So what was the most favorite park that you visited?
Well, mine was when we went zip lining. I had these gorgeous men that tied me to them so that I wouldn't fall, and we zipped through the trees. That was fun, I'll tell you that.
That was in New River Gorge National Park in West Virginia, which is the what we call the Thrill Seekers National Park.
And what about you, Brad? What was your favorite one?
You know, it really has been a series of moments more than one particular park, but I have to say that when we were in Katmai National Park, which was our 8th and final national park up in Alaska, because at the end of that long trail, we were rewarded with 30 huge brown bears fishing all at the same time at Brooks Falls. And we sat there for hours, and we could have stayed there for days, honestly.
That is an amazing sight, isn't it? Just when you're talking about, I've been fortunate enough to see that myself, and just truly, truly phenomenal. So, Grandma Jo, so now that you've done the 63 national parks, what do you want to do in Kenya?
Well, we're looking forward to go to Kenya in July, see what we can find.
Well, you know some of what's going to be there. We're going on safari, and she's been particularly excited about the elephant orphanage that we are going to see outside of Nairobi at the end of our trip. And although the circumstances for how those elephants ended up getting orphaned is quite tragic, I think it's going to be pretty inspiring to see what the people of Kenya have been able to do to try to turn that tragic situation into something constructive, and to get these elephants reared to adulthood, and hopefully some of them will be reintroduced at some point.
Well, especially you with being a vet, right? You probably they might put you to work, Brad. Just saying.
My background's wildlife medicine, so I might have to keep that to myself if I don't want to end up working on vacation.
So, what kind of tech are you using on your trips?
Well, I mean, to be honest, we probably could use some advice from you, because what we discovered on the road trip is that most of the places we've traveled, Google Maps is not going to cut it. What technology could exist that could help us as we start to think about traveling internationally, because a lot of times we just had to depend on the good old-fashioned Rand McNally Atlas.
Yeah, right. The good news is that for you guys is that there's offline maps. And so you can just select your destination. And then once you get the destination and the maps all around it, you just select from Google Maps offline, and then it saves it so you don't need any Wi-Fi. As a matter of fact, with Google Translate, I don't know how many hundreds of languages that they're doing right now. You can also use Google Translate if you are in a certain part of Africa where they don't speak English, and if you wanted to actually try to speak their language, or at least pretend that you're trying, is that you could use Google Translate, and that will also work offline. So the whole idea is to do offline. And then there's also some hiking apps. One in particular is called Hiker, and that's with 2 eyes. And I think it's like 17,000 trail maps that they've made available offline. And if you guys are ever in a situation where you may need some help, there's over at REI, they sell these things called Spot satellites. I don't know if you've ever seen these, but they look like a hockey puck.
I used that when I was on the Appalachian Trail.
Perfect. Then yeah, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. And for those of you who don't, it's just this little hockey puck, and you pay a small monthly subscription fee. And then if you're ever in trouble, you can hit that button, and then people can actually follow your journey and wherever you're going, and you can drop a note and, good things like that. But it's just a really great piece of technology. So folks listening, where can they follow your new adventures?
International Joy is the new era. That's the new name of the game. So starting with Kenya next month, you can follow our adventures at Grandma Joy's Road Trip, and that's on Instagram and on Facebook.
Well, bon voyage, guys. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for all the information. I wish we would have met you 7 years ago.
Anytime you guys need a question or anytime you want to come back, you have an open invite, okay?
Love that, Kim. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. All right, so you have a dead iPhone. Can it do things? A lot of people don't realize that it has a secret stash of energy, like the few extra miles of gas in your car after it hits empty. So first of all, even if you have a dead iPhone, you can still pay for things. If you've got Apple Pay set up on your iPhone, you can still make purchases, even if your phone's not on. Just hold your phone near the card reader and boom, that's it. You're good to go. Next on the list, emergency services. In the United States, all mobile phones are required by law to be able to make emergency calls, even if they're not activated or don't have a SIM card. You just hold down the side button and one of the volume buttons until the emergency SOS slider just pops right up, and then you slide it to the right just to make the call. And last, Apple Find My. If other Apple devices are nearby, the Find My app can still pinpoint the location of your lost iPhone. So even if your iPhone is dead, it can still do some certain things. Hey, we have a lot more tips, tricks, and secrets and great phone calls you don't want to miss here on The Kim Komando Show. All right, there's a wildly popular Reddit forum called Am I the A-Hole? It's a place on the internet where people share their deepest, darkest secrets or just something happening in their lives, and they ask everyone, who's in the wrong, who's in the right? People comment and vote until ultimately a decision is made. yes, you are, or no, you're not an a-hole. So once a week, I present you, the home listener, a situation from the forum. And it's up to you to decide, are they or are they not? And to add to the excitement, we have a special guest ready to take on the challenge and compete for the grand prize. It's this big. It's an official Kim Komando Show fanny pack. It's worth about $25. And a free bag of Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend dog food, a value of $59.95. And joining us this week is Chula from Steamboat Springs, Colorado. Hello there.
Hi, Kim. Thanks for taking my call.
You betcha. So we're going to play a little game, and then we'll talk about your question. And what do you do there in Steamboat Springs?
I'm an oil painter, a fine artist.
Wow, that's awesome. I wish I had that talent. I don't. I have other talents. That's just not one of mine.
I appreciate yours, let me say.
So I'm very flattered that you're here talking to us. Okay, so here's the question. You ready?
I think so.
Okay. A mom wants to know if she's the a-hole for deleting her son's Minecraft world. She says that her 9-year-old son kept sleeping through his alarm. And she says, I don't wake him up because waking himself up is just a skill that he really needs to learn. Well, after weeks, she gave him a final warning that there would be consequences if he did not wake up the next day at 7 a.m. And she didn't wake him up, and he slept in until 11 a.m. So as the mom says, I followed through with my warning, and I went on his computer, and I deleted his favorite Minecraft world. When I told him, he started screaming and crying. He told me that he spent a whole year working on that Minecraft world, creating it from scratch. Now, my 9-year-old son's very distraught that he's never going to see what he created again. He's been crying and sobbing throughout the entire day. He's refused to eat any of his meals. So she wants to know, is she the a-hole for deleting the kid's Minecraft world because he didn't get up at 7 a.m. in the morning when she's been trying to get him to do this? So what do you think, Chula?
Kim, that is heartbreaking. As a mom of 2 boys who have been emotionally attached to their Minecraft world, I would have to say yes in this case. Oh, it's hard to say that, though, because it's hard to judge any mother's actions.
Well, let's see what the judges say. Let's see what the internet said. Is the mom an a-hole or not? And Chula says, yeah, she is. Well, Chula, you're absolutely right. The whole internet agrees with you that this mother was out of line for deleting her kid's Minecraft world that he spent a year trying to create. Like some of the comments online, didn't feel good kicking down the little boy's sandcastle? Shame on you. Ooh, right? Here's another comment. The appropriate solution is to make sure that your kid goes to bed earlier. If you can't wake him up, it's because you're not getting to bed earlier enough. You shouldn't punish the kid for a failure as a parent. You need to be a better parent. Which I also agree. That's a hard one. Now, this one is the worst. Yes, you are. And this guy writes, I hope you have some savings built up. You're going to need it for his therapy in a few years. And say goodbye to being put into a nice old folks home. Yeah, that was not a good thing. So, Chula, thanks for playing, and congrats on the big win. So you got the fanny pack and the Dr. Marty's dog food. How can I help you out?
Okay, well, I heard you on Her Money podcast, and I followed your advice to get a new Chromebook for just my bank accounts online. So my question for you is, once I started doing that, I realized all the other accounts that I have that have to do with banking, like my Venmo, my PayPal, and I was wondering, where do you draw the line? What should I have on that Chromebook, and what can I do in other places?
First of all, thanks for reaching out. Yes, I was on Jean Chachki's Her Money podcast. Jean's just marvelous, by the way. That woman is so smart, okay? Just like,
yes.
I'm like,
yes.
Wow. And when I was on Jean's podcast, we were talking about online scams and how she almost fell for a scam, which I was really surprised. And then that's where I mentioned a Chromebook, and that the whole idea behind having a Chromebook and just doing your financial work on it, for everybody who wasn't privy to that podcast, is that you're not going to be as susceptible for getting scams and getting attacked and all that other good stuff, because it's not going to come in your email. So your email you're going to do on one device, say another laptop. And on this Chromebook, and the reason why I like it is because they're safe and they're relatively inexpensive and you can only use it online, and it's got a lot of other perks for it, is that you're only going to do your financial stuff, in quotes, on this Chromebook. So that this way, if you do happen to get malware or some type of phishing scam, that it's not going to be affecting your financial accounts. So very good question, Shula. What constitute financial accounts? Okay, of course, your online banking, right? Credit card accounts, anything that you do on financial platforms, your investment accounts. And then it also goes into Venmo and PayPal, because guess what? That's where you're also handling your money. If you're using an accounting package like QuickBooks, that should also only be on that Chromebook. Chromebooks are secure devices, but it doesn't mean that it's just an end-all of end-all. I mean, you just want to make sure that you keep that Chromebook updated with all the latest software patches. And, of course, you're still going to have good computing standards, Julie. You're not going to make your password for your bank to be password, okay, or let me in, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you want to be careful of suspicious links. So, the bottom line is anything that has to do with your money, right, is that I want to make sure that you're going to put all that on the Chromebook. And once again, thank you for your call, and thanks and congrats on the big win. And I'm going to reach out to Jean and say, hey, we got one of your listeners on the Kim Komando Show, which if you haven't heard the Her Money podcast by Jean Chatzky, you should check that out too. It's a great spend of your time, and she covers a lot of financial goodies like I cover tech goodies. All right, our money tip, 10 tech freebies that you can grab right now, because I know that so many of you are like me. We're cheap. That's right. So how about some free Microsoft Office software? Well, it's not Microsoft Office, but it's the next best thing. It's called LibreOffice. It's open source, has everything you need, Writer, Calc, Impress, which is similar to Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Next on our list is accounting software. If you're just fed up with QuickBooks, of course, you can use other different programs, and we have links to that, as well as you might want to check out NetSuite. Job listings. You can post a free job on Craigslist, but there are also other places where you can post free jobs like LinkedIn.com. Maybe a free phone service. Talking about Google Voice. It's easy to set up and use. You get a number with a personalized greeting, free calling. I think it's just fabulous. Now, what about a business? Survey software. Google Forms is free and easy to use. So this way you can get some real intel from your customers. So maybe you can sell them more things or better market to them in some way. Free email newsletters. We're talking about here, we're going to use MailChimp because a free account includes up to 2,000 contacts, 10,000 sends per month, and a daily limit of 2,000 emails. That's pretty great. You can get free shipping materials from the USPS. You can have a free logo made by using Logo Maker. How about social media content? Canva is amazing. I've been using that myself. Really easy to create what you might need for Instagram and Facebook and wherever else you are online. And free photo editing software, there's Pixlr RX, there's GIMP, as well as that Canva. And now you're sitting there going, wow, I want each and every one of those free things, Kim Komando. How do I do that? Well, you head over to Komando.com, and then there's a link that says Show Picks, and that's where you'll find everything that you need to tap right into those 10 tech freebies. All right, stay right where you are. We have more of your phone calls you don't want to miss, as well as the secrets to looking just fabulous in selfies as you're traveling this summer season. And, of course, you have me, Kim Komando. Now, if you used to get our newsletters and you stopped getting them because you said, oh, Kim, they were just horrible. I got tired of the clickbait and the ads. Well, we have totally upped the game. And I'll tell you, over the last couple of weeks, we've added, 40, 50, 60,000 people getting our newsletters. And so if you're not getting our newsletters, I encourage you to check it out right now. Head over to getkim.com, and there you can sign up. And it's 100% free. And here's the deal. Every single morning, I curate the content for you. This is not big tech. There's no algorithm. It's just me in my head. And I say, wow, these are the stories that you guys and gals need to know about. And then you get it, and you learn it all in less than 5 minutes. And again, they're totally free, and I think you're really going to love it. Well, I don't think. I know you're going to love it. Head over to getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com to sign up. You're not going to regret it. Ryan in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin.
Hello, Kim. I just have a question. My daughter is going to be a freshman next year in college, and she has to have a laptop for school. And I went through the requirements, and basically it's like Windows 11, I think Microsoft 365, and the most highly suggested laptop is a MacBook Air, and then there's several other ones. And I'm just trying to find a laptop that'll get the best bang for my buck, and it will hopefully last all 4 years.
Which is, that would be preferred, right? So aside from the MacBook Air, did you find any others on the list that you thought, wow, this would be great?
The Samsung Galaxy Book 3, the Microsoft Surface, I don't know if it's the Go 2 or something like that. And
the Surface, yeah. And
then I just like Acer products and different, and it's so confusing.
It does get confusing. How much do you want to spend?
I was hoping to keep it under 1,000.
Oh, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. First of all, and you're smart because you're figuring out what the college wants. A lot of people will call or text me or email me this same question in September and they find out that they didn't buy the right machine. It's like, okay,
right.
I just wasted $300 or $400 on a box that I don't know what I'm going to do with it because nobody will take it back. When you start looking at computers, let's just look at, like, for example, cars. I mean, you can buy a $20,000 car, you can buy a $50,000 car, you can buy a $100,000 car, right?
Right.
And a lot of it depends on the mode of transportation. When you look at laptops, you can spend $300, $500, $1,000, $2,500 or more, right, on a laptop.
Right.
But a good computer that I would say to send somebody to school with, and what is she going to be doing? What's she studying?
She's going in undecided right now.
Okay, so she's going to be taking basic classes in the beginning.
Yep.
Hence the Microsoft Office 365. Is I always like to take a look at the Dell Inspiron laptops because they are standard and they do last for a long time. I mean, and the one that I'm thinking of is the Inspiron 16. It's got 16 gigs of memory, got a 512 gig hard drive, but the display is nice and big. It's 16 inches. That's why they call it 16. See, some things do make sense. It's got a great processor, 12th generation Intel Core. It's got all the USB ports, and it's not terribly heavy. Okay, it's not going to be a MacBook Air, but it's not going to be sitting there where it's going to break her back either. It's probably about maybe 5 pounds. Now, when you start looking at these type of specs, is that it's about $725, which satisfies that price point. But also, I think it's a good choice for a college student who's going to be wanting to carry this around for the next 4 years. And as you mentioned, you don't want to, spend all that money on a MacBook Air. So take a look at the Inspiron 16. Again, it's about $725, Ryan, and we'll send you a link directly out to it. And by the way, in case you're ever looking for a laptop, over at Komando.com, we have our laptop finder quiz. And so you just go through some of the specs that you needed for what you're going to be doing, what your budget is, and then it just spits out our very own artificial intelligence just spits out the right laptop for you. And again, that's Komando.com/laptop finder. And Ryan, I'm happy to help you out on the air, and thank you for your call. One thing I should mention is that if you are looking for laptops for your back-to-school kiddos, it always is worth a trip or a call or just look at the website for the university or college bookstore, because sometimes they offer some deals that you may not be able to get elsewhere. And they also have all the configurations that your student may need. And again, that's in the online or in the college bookstore. Again, they always have a section for tech. And also don't forget student discounts, because those are normally available through all the big tech companies as well. Have you ever took a selfie and you sit back and you think, gosh, that is just a horrible picture of me? Okay, you just didn't do it the right way. First, you have to be strategic when you pose. I mean, If you don't believe me, just take a look at all the social media influencers. They're just not looking at the camera. They're like pivoting their body around. They're moving around. Whatever you want to do is don't hold the camera right in front of you or worse, in front of the bathroom mirror with the flash on. That's awful. When you're taking a selfie, turn the flash off. And you want to hold your phone higher than your forehead and then tilt it down at about a 45-degree angle. Next, direct light creates these harsh shadows. You want to get soft, natural light instead. So take your pic early in the morning or around sunset. And let's say someone is taking a picture of you. The worst thing that you do is just face the camera head on with your feet apart and your hands on your hips. Yeah. You want to tilt your body so you're standing in a 3/4 position and angle your torso away from the camera because then you're going to look thinner. Yes, that's how they do it. Hey, be sure to tell 3 people about the Kim Komando Show and the Kim Komando Today podcast. And you can find me 24/7 at the website. That's komando.com.
It's the Kim Komando Show podcast. I know you're loving it because, of course, there's no commercials in this version of the show. And this is for the weekend of June 17th, 2023. We're up to hour 3.
I always like to start the show with something interesting. And if you're under the age of, say, 18, there was a time before the internet when if you wanted to know something, there was no Wikipedia or Google. You actually had to go to a physical library and pull out an encyclopedia, or maybe you had to read a book, or maybe you had like that crazy Uncle Dave that you would ask him questions, or maybe your Aunt Lily, and she just seemed to know every single thing. But Gen Xers and older millennials are now nostalgic, they say, for the time before the internet. A new Harris poll shared exclusively with Fast Company says that most people between the ages of 35 and 54, about 77%, wish they were not plugged in so much. They actually miss the world before cell phones and the internet. I don't know. I don't miss it that much. Well, I've been connected for so long. I mean, gosh, I went to college for computer science, but it reminds me of this old joke. A man walks into a library and asks where he can find books on paranoia. And the librarian whispers to him, "They're right behind you." Could you imagine? Oh, that'd be awful. Hey, listen, I'm Kim Komando, America's beloved digital goddess, here with you once again with the nation's largest, most trusted, just the best dang show on the radio and podcast about all things digital. And you're about to get more tech smarts because every single thing is a tech thing now. And if you're a brand new listener, I'm glad you found us. And if you listen all the time, welcome back. You can find my award-winning show on over 420 top stations throughout the United States. And you can find us as a podcast and as a webcast commercial-free over at komando.com. Just in the upper right-hand corner of the homepage, there's a big old yellow button that says Komando Community. That's where you can sign up. And yes, I did say commercial-free. And a special hello to all of our listeners in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marine Corps, the Coast Guard, and the Space Force in 175 different countries who are now joining us on the American Forces Network Radio, serving more than 375,000 American servicemen and women. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And if you need immediate tech support, talking about somebody who can maybe log into your system and somebody that you can trust, fix your Wi-Fi, fix your printers, set up this smart assistant, set up a brand new phone, whatever it may be, I want you to reach out to my team of tech experts at getkimshelp.com. Once again, that's getkimshelp.com. All right, every single day I visit over 30 different websites to make sure that you and I are both up to date on what's going on in the tech world, and there's always a slew of things. And let's talk about the 5 things you need to know right now. I'm going to start with kind of a crazy story. There's a woman on Twitch by the name of Kaylee Carter, and she has 600,000 subscribers, and she goes under the name Just Foxy. And she streams her Fortnite gameplay, she chats with her fans online, and everybody just loves her. But after May 16th of this year, she just went radio silent. She stopped streaming. Everybody's like, what's going on? Why isn't she posting? Well, they got their answer. This past week, she uploaded a video to YouTube. It was a man wearing a mask in front of her Ohio home, setting her car on fire. Wow. The fire quickly spreads to a fence nearby and then, unfortunately, to her home. Kaylee was not home at the time, but her mom was. And luckily, Mom was able to call 911. She told authorities that she thought the culprit was a cyberstalker, and Mom was right. The authorities found Farhan Jami near the scene, wearing the same clothes as the guy in the vid. He traveled 600 miles from New York to get to her house. Now, Kaylee says she's shaken up, and I mean, who wouldn't be? I mean, streaming should be all fun and games, but people are forming these one-sided weird relationships and taking it way too far. Now, Jamie is in custody in Ohio with a $300,000 bail. Now, the reason why I bring this up is that I know that we have a lot of kids who are streaming their gameplay or wanting to be an influencer, and maybe you don't even know that your kids are doing this. This is really something that you need to share this story with your kids so they know that if something weird is going on, they get weird messages, that they should come tell you. I always like to use the word uncomfortable because that covers a whole bunch of gamuts. All right, number 2 on our list, the War of 1812. Ooh, what's going on with that? British sailors kidnapped American sailors to work on their fleets, and it ended in the 1850 Treaty of Ghent, where everybody said, time to head home. The U.S. declared a victory for not being invaded. We were free from British rule. Okay. Back in 2007, the Maryland DMV created a special license plate to commemorate the War of 1812. They wanted to raise money for bicentennial projects. So about 800,000 drivers in Maryland bought this special license plate. Now, on the plate was a web address, starspangled200.org. Okay? It was a nice little site, information about the war. So what am I getting here? Well, there was something off with the website. It didn't take you to the War of 1812. Instead, it led you straight to an image of a busty woman in her bra advertising the Philippines' best online betting. That's right, on these 800,000 license plates. The DMV in Maryland, they got wind of this. They paid $1,000 to get the URL back. Now it links to the right DMV page, but just imagine 800,000 cars driving around championing the War of 1812 and the best online gambling in the Philippines. Gosh. Number 3 on our list, there was a horrible mass shooting this past week in San Francisco's Mission District. 9 people ended up getting hurt, and cops and firefighters tried to make it to the scene as quickly as possible, but something was holding them up. A self-driving taxi from a company called Cruise. It just stopped right in the middle of fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars. That was it. An officer was actually shouting at the car with no driver, to move out of the way. And he yelled, blocking emergency, medical, and fire, you got to get out of here right now. So Cruise, the company, they say, oh, wow, well, the car stopped because of the emergency scene. It pulled over. The emergency vehicles could still squeeze around it. What they didn't say, though, was how long the self-driving car just, stopped, or what the car thought about the cop yelling at it. We saw the video. This actually happened. Number 4 on our list, tell me what you think about this. Online detectives have come across quite the mystery in the heart of Death Valley, California. It's this mysterious void that has been spotted on Google Maps. It can be described as, say, a green circle with sharp ridges coming out the side. And it's kind of an odd picture. There's a boat to the left of it and an army tank. Now, again, this is Death Valley. It's a desert, no water for miles, a dirt mound, right? So a lot of folks are looking at it on Reddit, and they're saying, well, maybe it's super secret government stuff going on. I mean, you can see the edges of green going out of it. Now, if you do a time lapse on Google Earth, you can see it's just a patch of dirt in the 90s, a pool, and then it kind of turns into this weird thing like that's happening right now. My guess is that it was probably military training. I don't think it's anything UFO or kind of conspiracy theory. I think it was just something like that. But speaking of Death Valley, to abandon an ice cream sundae in Death Valley is to desert your dessert in a desert. Yes, isn't that clever? I didn't make that up. I forget where I saw it. Last, this coming in at number 5, the average typing speed is 40 words per minute. Now, the typing speed for a 16-year-old Florida YouTuber, Mythical Rocket, 300 words per minute. 300 words per minute, that's crazy. I mean, it's really something. The kid said he got to start with gaming and text chats, Discord, Skype. And by the time he was 13, he was already at warp speed, 130 to 140 words per minute. Seriously, you got to watch him on YouTube. It's like his hands are in fast forward. It's just nutso. Hey, coming up, we have some great tips if you're going to be traveling about sharing your location and getting crystal clear conversations, and also some ways to save some big bucks on Amazon. And, of course, we have your amazing phone calls, and you have me, Kim Komando. Okay, Mike Perez found his passion in the world of tech at a really young age. He was about 12. He started building his own computers and became fascinated with programming. So you could say he just was like a little nerd in training, right? But he went down a dark path. He started to build card skimmers, which he installed on gas station pumps. And you know what they do? They steal credit card information, and within 3 days, he racked up almost $30,000. Wow. So his activities didn't go unnoticed forever. Back in 2017, he was caught, and Mike spent 2 years in a federal pen, an experience that he said was a profound self-reflection and ultimately a transformation. Well, today Mike has turned a new leaf. He's using his tech expertise to help others. He's actually serving as a counter-skimming consultant with Unchained Leadership and Consulting. And in this role, he's designing tools and strats to prevent and detect the type of fraud that he was once involved in. Hey, Mike, thank you so much for coming on and willingness to share your story with us. But let's start at the beginning. Let's make sure that everybody's on the same page. Tell everybody what a skimmer does and what they look like.
Well, first off, thank you for having me on your show. And so a skimmer, they come in all different shapes and sizes. It's pretty much to the imagination of whoever creates them. So the ones I was making, they would go inside gas pumps. It was a small electronic board, and it'd go attached to the card reader inside the gas pump. And what it would do is take the information out the magstripe in order for me to clone, make a duplicate card with that information.
And so all totaled, how much did you actually skim?
Oh, I lost. It'd be a hard number, but on average, I did it for almost 2 years. Maybe on average, I was doing about anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 card numbers a month.
Was there a particular pump that you would pick, like maybe one not closest to the convenience store or maybe one on the outside so that this way maybe it didn't garner all the attention?
No. Here's the thing. When I was installing these skimmers, they don't work on every gas station. I was installing them on gas stations who didn't have their securities updated, older style gas station pumps.
Oh,
so
okay.
Honestly, for me, it wasn't like I could go to every single gas station and put a skimmer in there. So I had to find a skimmer in a gas station. I mean, find a gas pump that I could put my skimmer in, and I wanted to maximize how many numbers I collected. So I would go and look at the view of the gas station, just park at a different angle before I enter it and see, okay, this is where the most traffic is going to be.
And so how did you come up with the idea to do a card skimmer anyway? That's actually pretty ingenious.
Here, the way I grew up, the environment I grew up in, we used to just think about ways of how to make quick money or big amounts of money. It wasn't really about quick. It was just try to get something so we could have nice stuff or I was approached by somebody who I grew up with, and he offered me, he told me, hey, this is what's going on now. This is the new thing. We could make a lot of money. All you have to do is make some skimmers and sit back, and I'll sell them for you. I have the clientele for it. Back then, a skimmer would go for around $3,500.
Wow, that's a lot of money, but you would make that back. I mean, obviously the person would have a good return on investment, right?
I mean, if with one card, you could get that money back. And on average, each skimmer would give you, on a good pump, on average weekly, would give you about anywhere from 100 to 300 numbers. So just one. All you need is one number to get that money back.
That's it. Wow. And so then once you got the credit card numbers, you cloned the card?
I had set up like a lab in my house, and I got printers, the same ones they use on DMV, printers for putting the holograms on it, for embossing them. And I would make photo IDs for the group of people I was working with or for myself, and make a card with the outside would say whatever name I would make up.
And then you'd use those credit cards to buy stuff?
So at that time, we would go to either Nordstrom, do gift cards, a lot of gift cards, especially like Visa, MasterCard, because we could turn that into money orders because I had a PIN number attached to it too. And that's what I was doing at first. Eventually, I was able to make my own skimmers where I could capture the PIN pad entry, and I would with the PIN numbers, whatever cards I had PIN numbers for, I would pull out cash or make money orders. Like go to a little like small grocery stores, and since you could do it with a debit card, I would do a money order for. At first, it was like I could do money orders up to $1,500, and pull out cash, and that's how I'd use it for.
Wow. I mean, that's a pretty elaborate scheme. I mean, it's there's a lot of moving parts with this, huh?
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff involved. I spent a lot of time. I thought it was going to be easier, to be honest with you. It wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be, but I dedicated myself full time to it, and I made it work.
So how did you get caught?
I sent an email to another credit card manufacturer that was out of Miami, Florida too, and they were being surveilling. They were surveilling them, and I didn't know at the time. And probably like a year later, they showed up to my doorstep based off that email that I sent to them. But I wasn't surprised. I knew eventually it was going to catch up to me.
And so, knowing everything that you know, what are people supposed to do? I mean, what are they supposed to look for when they go to pump gas or they go to an ATM? And what are some telltale signs that there may be a scam?
Honestly, it's really hard to tell with the way, because like, let's go with gas station skimmers. They're inside the pump. Like, a lot of people think there's going to be overlays and something that you could pull on or tug on. That is the case on some gas stations, but the ones that I was installing there, and they're still installing right now, they're inside. There's no way of you knowing.
Well, you certainly are helping a lot of people out, because I don't know if many people really realize how prevalent the skimmers are and how it's not that whiz-bang tech as we used to think it was once, a long time ago. But, thanks for being here. Thanks for telling your story. Super interesting, and words of advice for everybody that, if you're going to be getting gas or even ATM, maybe you want to go inside. I know it's old school, but go ahead and buy yourself a cup of coffee at the same time. Thanks again, Mike, for being here.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
All right, if you're a dog lover, how would you like to make $3,000 a month by renting out your backyard? That's right, it's a side hustle. What you do is you rent your backyard as a dog park using the app Sniff Spot. It sounds a little kooky. I mean, why would somebody want to get into your backyard? Maybe they're traveling and they need a place for Fido to unwind, or maybe they live in an apartment and they need some space. So again, it's sniffspot.com or the app Sniff Spot. And I found backyards near me with a hammock that were like $20 an hour. I found one that I could rent for $300 a month for a couple hours a week. So if you have a big backyard and you don't mind picking up dog poop, okay, that's part of the deal, I guess, is that you could be making money with that backyard right now. Hey, listen, we have more phone calls and more of me coming up you don't want to miss. All right, before we start more of your phone calls, and we have some great tips to pass along, including how to get crystal clear conversations on your iPhone. Let's say you're traveling this summer and you're traveling with a whole bunch of people and you're like, oh gosh, I don't know where they are and I don't know really where I'm located either. Fear not, Google Maps can save the day. To find your friends, just drop a pin of your location on Google Maps and share it through a text. It's super easy. Just make sure your location is turned on and accurate. Then you find that blue dot on the map that represents your location. Just give it a little tap. That'll bring up the location details, and you'll see a button that says Share Your Location. Just click that button, and then you're prompted to choose how long you want to share your location and which app you want to share it through. After that, just pick the person you want to share it with, and then hit Send. And then your friends are going to get a notification with a link, real time, of where you are on Google Maps. And so next time you get lost in a crowd, don't panic, just drop a pin. Matt in Chicago, Illinois.
I am part of a leadership team at a local church, and we are now having another church come in and use some of our space, some of our rooms, and we'd like to be able to coordinate a schedule where they can submit to us, hey, we need this room on this date for this time, and bring it into a master calendar for the entire building. And I'm wondering if there are good apps or good programs that we could look at to help us schedule the building over time.
Well, you have a couple of ways to do it. You could certainly use Google Calendar. And I like Google Calendar because it just works and it allows you to have all these different calendars. And so you could have one master calendar that only you see, and then you could have underneath that you could see which rooms are being scheduled and who's actually in there. You could even color code these. And so by whoever is renting it, maybe they're a blue or a red or a pink or whatever it may be. So at a glance, you can see exactly what's going on. A lot of office buildings and companies use Google Calendar for room reservations just within their own facility. And it's pretty robust. And so you create separate calendars for different organizations, and then you can share them with those folks. And then you can also manage event requests. And then it has all these back-end reporting tools that can be accessed through the app, Google Calendar app, as well as on your PC or Mac or whatever app that you're using, or whatever device that you're using, whatever platform that you're using. And also, it's very simple to use. Okay, so it's not going to require a lot of training. And then in addition to that, you can have it set up reminders. So let's say somebody rents, a room B, and maybe you could set it up so that whoever is going to be in charge of room B, they get a notification 24 hours beforehand, and that if they need to confirm it, or they need to let you know that they're not going to use it, or maybe they need a bigger room, or whatever it may be. And so it will automate a lot of these things. And you can also put this calendar on your website. And so people can see when the rooms are available, and they can also work with other platforms, and so they can actually maybe reserve this themselves. Now, if you're looking for something more oriented towards a church, are you looking more for that?
Really just a management platform for the buildings like you described.
Oh, okay. Then I would use the Google Calendar app. And just on a side note, let me tell you about two others that if you sit there and you're like 6 months from now, you're like, gosh, I wish we had fill in the blank, right?
Sure.
That like one is called Planning Center. It's at planningscenter.com. And it's really geared towards a church. It does event facility scheduling, community organization. You can process donations. They have volunteer and child check-ins, event sign-up, registrations, payments, service planning, volunteer scheduling. So they have these all-encompassing. And part of this is also room scheduling. Another one's called Church Suite. And it does pretty much the same thing, but I don't think it's as robust as Planning Center from just looking at their website. What I like about Planning Center is that it allows you to pick and choose which of these features that you'd like to use. So you don't have to pay for the whole caboodle if you're not going to use it. You just pick and choose for maybe I just want calendars, or maybe I just want people, membership management, or whatever it may be, versus Church Suite makes you buy the whole thing. So if the Google Calendar doesn't work out for you, Matt, just know that there are these other options, and thank you for your call. There are some innovative ways to use Google Calendar that you may not have thought of in the past. Like, for example, project management. You can set up different calendars for different projects and then share them with the team members so everyone can stay on the same page with deadlines and timelines. You can also set up goal tracking by marking a time slot every day or every week to work towards those goals. And then Google Calendar can send you reminders and then actually visually track that progress. You can block out time, say for creative work, administrative tasks, meetings, whatever it may be. You can put your fitness schedule on Google Calendar. You can do meal planning. You can put a learning schedule. You can even put your social media content right on the calendar. A family organizer, that's great for chores, outings, summer camp, who's driving Johnny back and forth, doctor's appointments. You can set up recurring bill payment reminders on a Google Calendar. You can set up book club, TV show releases, your gardening calendar, when to plant, prune, harvest. So the bottom line I just want to pass along is that Google Calendar, yeah, it's free. And yes, it's really good for keeping track of your appointments and maybe rooms. But there may be other things that you could be using it for that you just may never have thought of in the past. And that's why I'm here. All right, let's say you're on an important call, but you're in a noisy place and your friend can't hear what you're saying. It's so annoying. Now, if you have an iPhone, here's an innovative solution. It's called the voice isolation mode, and it works like this. All that background noise that gets in the way of your conversation is just blocked out, so leaving just your voice to come through crystal clear. It's really amazing. No more struggling to talk to mom over the sound of the lawnmower, or trying to chat with your buddy while a jackhammer is going off next to you, or maybe a leaf blower. So how do you use it? It's really simple. You just dial up whoever you want to talk to and wait for them to pick up. Then you swipe down from the top right of your screen. When you do that, up pops the control center. Now here's where the magic happens. You want to find a button that's labeled Mic Mode, M-I-C mode, Mic Mode. You tap on it, and then you have two options, standard or voice isolation. Now, obviously, we're going to choose voice isolation, and then just boom, you're just good to go. Now your voice is crystal clear. Now, the feature will stay activated for the whole duration of your call. I wish there was a way that you could just leave that on all the time, but you just can't. So what you do is you swipe down again. From the top right of your screen in the control center, you're going to find mic mode, and then from there, you're going to choose voice isolation. All right, still to come, we have more of your phone calls, as well as how to buy secondhand the smart way on Amazon.com. You're going to save some big bucks that you don't want to miss here on the Kim Komando Show. You know, I'm so jazzed by our newsletters and all the fabulous feedback that we've been getting. All the thumbs up. I mean, I'm talking like, 35,000 thumbs up. People just love them, and 800 thumbs down, which I don't understand, which I'd like to call each and every one of you folks saying, why don't you love it? Maybe you just don't like change, and I get that. But the new newsletters are amazing. Everything that you want to read is self-contained within this newsletter. And over 400,000 folks are getting these newsletters every single day, and you should be getting them too, because here's what happens. Every morning, I start at around 5 or 6 a.m., and I go through all the various tech websites, about 30 different websites, and I pick and choose just what you need to know that day, just what I think is the most important, whether it's a data breach, maybe there's a class action settlement, maybe it's just a great tip, maybe it's a video, whatever it is to keep you up to date about what's going on in the tech world. So whether it's artificial intelligence or new products, or maybe there's a glitch, or maybe there's a lawsuit with big tech, I put it all in there for you so you get it every single morning. And all of that takes less than 5 minutes to read. It takes me an hour or more to put together, but it takes less than 5 minutes to read, which is, I think, the important part. And there's just one ad in it. So if you haven't tried our newsletters, please do it right now. Head over to getkim.com. Once again, that's getkim.com, 100% free at getkim.com. Hal in Columbia, South Carolina.
Hey, Kim. How are you? It's nice talking to you.
Well, thank you for your call. What's going on?
Love your radio show. In fact, I wrote down a couple of little things, but I love your way of just casually speaking with every caller, and your creativity. I kind of hesitate to say it, but I said you are just really smart.
Oh, thank you.
You really are.
Thank you.
But my simple question was, we bought a new laptop. I've actually had it for about a year now. It's an HP. I bought it from Costco, and I don't really have a large need for Microsoft Office. Just simple needs. It's just at-home stuff. A lot of with my church. Word documents, that sort of thing. So just was wondering, were there other options other than paying $100 a year for the Microsoft 365, which, used to be, the kind of the norm. Now you got to pay $100 a year. And my friend Kim Komando, I was listening to you, and you said, yeah, there's a Google Office thing out there. And so that was my question.
Well, yes, there is a Google thing out there with your Google account. You have total access to Google Docs, which is a great alternative to Microsoft Word. I actually use Google Docs every single day. Google Sheets is a great alternative to Microsoft Excel. You have Google Slides, and that's your PowerPoint. And so if you don't need, say, workspace connectivity and storage, meaning for like if it's an enterprise, just sign up for a Google account and then just use Google Docs, Sheets, or Slides. Now, if you're saying, like, I really want an Office-type program because I feel more comfortable with an Office suite, that's when you're going to want to look at something called LibreOffice, and that's LIBRE, office.org. It's open source. It's totally free. They just did a massive update, by the way. We wrote about it in one of our newsletters the other day. And with that, you get Microsoft Word. It's called Writer. Calc is Excel. Impress does slideshows. Draw also is part of it. And that's illustrations, flow charts, and graphics. And yes, I said draw, like drawer, draw. Like I can't never say that. I'm from New Jersey. DRAW. And then there's also Base, which is a database program. So either look at Google or look at LibreOffice, and then you're going to be good to go, and you're going to be saving yourself $99 a year because you don't need to buy Microsoft Office. You don't need to do that. All right, let's see. Let me look at the clock. We can squeeze in another great call. Richard in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Well, you've had, I've been enjoying some of your, or a lot of actually, of your tips on iPhones and PCs and whatnot. But recently you had an article on deleting TikTok, and not to mention some other apps from your devices. Right. And, because of the acquisition of personal information. My question regards, though, what happens, if anything, if I receive, and I have been receiving, forwards of TikTok videos from other people, and I'm sure they probably received it from somebody first. So if I get that and watch it, is there any risk to me of the Chinese getting information from my device?
Yeah, but not as bad as if you had TikTok and they get copies of every single thing that you do on your phone and your voice print and your facial ID and your photos, your videos. And again, it's all going back to communist China. If you just watch this video, what they're going to get is your browser type, the browser that you're using, information about your phone, whether it's an iPhone 12, 13, Huawei, Google Pixel, whatever it is, and your IP address. And the IP address ties you to your location because every unique gadget has an IP address. Now, there is something else that they might be able to get, is something called pixels. And that's really kind of an interesting thing. You have companies like Meta, Microsoft, and Google. They use these things called pixels to track users, and so does TikTok. So when you watch that video, there's a pixel that's going to be tracking you too, and that's where they may get some searches when you visit different sites and if you put anything into your shopping cart or anything like that. Now, TikTok says what they do use pixels, but they say that it's just, quote unquote, aggregated, meaning that we don't really know it's Richard in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's what they say, but I don't believe them. I have trouble believing them. So there's really no way to really know how they're using those pixels. But the bottom line is that if you just watch that TikTok video and you don't have TikTok installed, they're still getting information about you, about your browser, your phone information, and again, your IP address. Yeah. They're always watching. Richard, thank you for your call. Yeah, and the government's still trying to figure out what to do with TikTok in all the various states. And Montana actually has banned TikTok, and people are they're saying like, hey, we make money being on TikTok. What are we going to do now? So now they're threatening to sue the state to get TikTok back. Yeah, it's just one big Chinese spy app. That's exactly what it is. So let's say you want that expensive coffee machine, but it's over $1,000, and you're like, I wonder if I could get it cheaper. I wonder if I should be looking under Amazon Renewed. Yes, that's buying refurb. It's a second chance at a first impression. It's expertly refurbished products at low prices. And now to check out the goods, you're not going to find it on the main menu. You have to go to Amazon.com/renewed. That's Amazon.com/renewed. And there you're going to find phones, laptop, headsets, that coffee maker, whatever it may be that you want. Now, when you buy refurb products, you don't know the full history. That's the problem. So anything could be described as like new when it's not. So that's why it's super important that I pass along this other tip, because there are no set rules to grade a refurbished product. So that's why you need to know the return window when purchasing. Once again, that address is Amazon.com/renewed, Amazon.com/renewed. Again, you have to type that in. You're not going to find it on the product menu. Now, if you learned one thing, if you laughed just once, make sure that you tell 3 friends about the Kim Komando Show and the Kim Komando Today podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find me at Komando.com.